Roper, Williams, and Lee, the Deadly Three, penetrate the secret chambers of an evil island empire.
Hello, welcome to the Damian and Devlin Show. This is our review of Enter the Dragon, 1973 film directed by Robert Clouse, starring Bruce Lee, John Saxon, and Jim Kelly, to name a few. Anyhow, this was one of my choices, and I chose it because this is not only one of my favorite, but it's considered one of the best martial arts film ever. And I wanted to see what Damian's thoughts were on this. He likes wrestling and anime, so you put them together and you get this kind of stuff. I have a feeling he wasn't as impressed as I am. Anyhow, a little knowledge about this movie. Basically, at the beginning of the 70s, martial arts films internationally were huge. So Warner Brothers decided, let's cash in. They bought Bruce Lee over, and this was going to be like a series of films. This movie was a big hit, but sadly Bruce Lee died the same week it was released in theaters, so we never got to see it. He didn't even get to see the impact he wanted, and he always wanted to be an international star. He actually wanted to go into other stuff besides martial arts, but that didn't happen. Anyhow, it is a classic movie. It was a big blockbuster, and people still revere it as one of the most beloved martial arts films. What was your first take of Enter the Dragon?
This was my first take. Within 2 minutes, I was howling.
You were enjoying it, though. Maybe for the wrong reasons. But
I think I was enjoying it just for the whole cheese factor.
It's definitely cheesy. I should mention that you asked me point blank, is this dubbed? And I did some research, and it was, but it was dubbed differently. This was actually filmed silently. And they literally added the music, those wonderful Hanna-Barbera Flintstone sound effects. And everything was dubbed, but that was Bruce Lee's actual voice and stuff. So they used the real actors, except for a couple of those Chinese actors who had really, what's a nice way to put it?
They had really
Caucasian, rednecky almost voices. Hey Lou!
It was really bad.
The Obi-Wan character in this is almost like follow your feelings.
Shatter the image and the enemy disappears.
So what were your positives of Enter the Dragon?
My positive, Bruce Lee. I am a big fan of Bruce Lee.
You've never seen any of his movies?
I've never seen any Bruce Lee movies, but I know the impact that he's had. I know that because of him, he's inspired so much.
Absolutely.
I do love the iconic image from this movie where he's standing at the ready with the blood and the scratches all over him. Awesome stuff. And that is about it.
That's all the positives you can muster up.
That's about it.
First of all, I want to give this movie a lot of credit. My positives start with Bruce Lee, obviously, is the best thing in this. There was something about Bruce Lee I loved. Not only was he handsome, but he had those weird, like weird noises would come out of him. Yeah, stuff like that. And I know that comes out of a lot of, but he had his own style. What I really want to do a positive is I actually liked the fact that they took a chance, and this movie impacted so much, too. Like, this isn't just a martial arts film. This has got some James Bond in it. This has got some blaxploitation in it. Like, Jim Kelly became like a huge star of blaxploitation movies. And although I think they stole some stuff from James Bond, I think later movies...
So? You think?
Yeah, I think later movies kind of stole from Enter the Dragon, too. So that's a positive. And I have to say, I love the cheese and camp of this film. That I'm going to put that in my positivity because of the fact that it is entertaining. We laughed all the way through it.
It was entertaining.
Yeah, and the sound effects. I forgot how just amazingly awful they are. But I'm going to put that in my positives.
All right. I mean, more power to you. I definitely don't agree at all with that.
Okay, your negatives. Do we have time?
Yeah, do we have time? Where do I even begin with the negatives? Goodness gracious. The sound effects, so distracting. The music, You told me that apparently people were flocking to buy
The
this album.
soundtrack was also a big hit, and it was done by, I
Wow.
cannot remember his name, but he's the guy who actually wrote the Mission Impossible theme. People love the soundtracks. They were probably playing that and pretending to be karate guys.
Was that you?
No, I was too young.
Okay.
I may be old, but this is even. I was only like
Oh.
about 5 when this came out. So
Okay. Oh, good lord. Yeah, so the music, obviously the dubbing. Like, Bruce Lee's dubbing was okay because I knew that was Bruce Lee doing his own lines. But yeah, like I said, within the first 2 minutes of the movie, I'm howling because there's this really old Asian guy. And then suddenly he starts to talk and it's somebody that sounds like me.
yeah, it was, yeah. Come and listen to me. Come and listen to me a story.
Yeah, like what was going on? And then we had the guy later on in the actual tournament, and he had this big redneck hick kind of accent. It's like, what is going on here? Another negative, it seemed like the plot was all over the place.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on with this movie?
I like the genres they dealt with, but they did have problem keeping the. We were even commenting. It seemed like
you made a comment. You were like, it seems like Bruce Lee's off doing his own movie with the rest of them. I made a comment during the movie, like, are they even still doing this whole tournament thing that they've been invited to the island for? Like, what was going on? And then, who's this British guy?
Yeah, you were obsessed with this British guy.
He appears at the beginning. He says nothing about who he is, where he's coming from, who he represents.
Bruce Lee asks
but
questions.
Somebody will be there. I do promise you that.
I think they didn't know what they could use. If they could use, like,
What is going
Interpol, the FBI. So
What
they
is
just
happening?
said, somebody will show up.
And then he shows up later on in the movie in bed, talking about, I don't care, you wake him up. Who? Wake who up? Who's getting woken up? You see an image of these soldiers rushing towards a yellow helicopter. Who are these soldiers that don't show up until the last 20 seconds of the movie?
Oh, spoilers.
What are these people doing? I don't even know where to begin.
Any more?
The special effects, like I guess the practical effects, like the whole facial scar on the one guy, like you could tell they weren't trying very hard. And then when Bruce Lee...
Oh, here we go, the blood.
The promotional images of him looked better than the movie did, because, like, he gets cut across his belly.
In the olden days...
Neon red.
Yes, we didn't need to see the actual color of blood. We were like,
neon
oh
red.
my god, is that blood? You're going on ketchup, and it's...
It looked like ketchup with maybe some glow stick thrown in there. It was bad.
Glow stick.
It was bad. It literally was neon.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I was on the edge of my seat. I have to find some negatives. Yeah, there was a couple.
There's a couple.
Well,
the whole movie.
No, I like the camp and cult of it, and it is still more entertaining than most of those martial arts films. I've seen a couple of them. Anyhow, negatives. The editing, looking at this, is so over the top. And I'm not just talking about, like, the choreography on the fighting was incredible. Like,
okay,
but
okay,
yeah,
yes,
you know,
that was cool.
And that was Bruce Lee. He did all the choreography. Cool. But the editing, there was a scene where Bruce Lee and this girl were talking. She just goes shh, and the next thing you know, they're sitting in what looks like a different room. Could be a different day, but she's telling, like, stuff that obviously was right from where they started talking. The editing was choppy. There were times where, like, you just didn't know where somebody was, and then they chopped to something else, and then they're back at the tournament. So, yeah, the editing is a little bad. But there's some really artistic shots here. The only other negatives I can say is it's sad that this movie does come off as a parody, because we've seen so many parodied martial arts. Because I'm sure at one time there were people going, oh, this is the best. And I still think it's entertainingly the best. So, would you be a little, if you saw this as a kid, would you have been all over this?
I don't even know, because, as you mentioned, I like wrestling a lot. So when I was a kid, I imitated wrestling.
But would you be Bruce Lee?
I guess if I was a product of the 70s, I guess so, because that's all that would have been around.
Yeah, like, there was wrestling, but it wasn't as visible.
Yeah, it wasn't televised much back then, unless you were in the area. So I guess, yeah, if I had seen this in theaters, I thought it would have been pretty cool. But seeing it now in 2017, like, wow, it's bad.
Okay, you want to give your score or my score first?
Well, now that you mention it, going off the whole like artistic shots, like yeah, I'll bring that up, and yeah, you do raise a couple of valid points with that. There were certain instances where I thought they were really well done, like the whole mirror thing at the very end.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Iconic, yeah.
Iconic. Although.
And you gotta take in the fact that you were laughing and smiling all the way through this. Maybe for the wrong reasons, but it wasn't like, oh, what time is it? Is it over yet?
That is very true. I do feel like it was a little bit offensive at some points.
Oh, you're going to bring that up?
With the whole stereotypes. Yeah,
we didn't have that in the
I know that didn't happen.
Well, yeah, no.
But I do feel like the stereotypes were a little overblown, especially going so far as to have the one caricature Asian guy with the glasses, and then he had the mustache.
Hitler?
He kind of did look like Hitler.
Yeah,
not gonna lie, it blew me away.
So is that Hitler?
I did. I was shocked.
You won't miss him if you rewatch this. You'll see him.
You'll know.
He's like the gambling guy. We don't even know who he was. That could have been anybody.
He was just a random character that disappeared. He was there for 5 minutes. It just seems cool. Like the fight scenes. The fight scenes were the best part of it. Obviously, it's a kung fu movie. You watch it for the fight scenes.
Warner Brothers presents Enter the Dragon, where the world's greatest martial arts athletes meet the ultimate challenge with the most ancient and deadly of weapons, the human body.
So yeah, if you have to ask me about my score and what it might be, I honestly, I want to give this movie more, but I have to give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh.
I would give it a 1 for entertainment value.
What do you mean a 1? Oh, an extra one?
No. Like my basis.
Oh, okay.
So entertainment value, the fact that I was laughing throughout the entire movie, I'd give it a 1 out of 5. But then, of course, the fact that it is inspired so much more, and the iconic Bruce Lee involvement, of course, that adds it another star. So it's a 2 out of 5 for me. I can't go any higher than that. I can't.
I like the camp. I like the retroness of it. I'm going to go, you're going to cringe, so hang on. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 because I think this is entertaining. I think it's still fun to watch, and I think this is still one of the most entertaining martial arts films ever made. You really didn't listen to me.
Are you done now?
4 out of 5. Anyhow, that's our review of Enter the Dragon, and we got many more coming up for you.
As always, make sure if you do like what we're doing, because goodness knows that when watching movies like this, I question it. Give us a like. Make sure you comment us. Let us know what you want us to see next.
Tell us what you think of Enter the Dragon.
What did you think?
Did you agree with Damian or me?
You with him. You never know. I mean, I'm hoping you're with me. Please be with me, but...
Don't beg them. That's just pandering.
Whatever. And then obviously, if you want to see more of this, more of what we do, subscribe. Every Tuesday, you get a new video. Pretty sweet deal. Anyways, thanks for being here with us. We'll see you next time, and have a good night.
Enter the Dragon from Warner Brothers.